Okay, everybody, we're good to go here. First of all, on behalf of the club here, I want to welcome you all, in particular members of the Keeney family, who have such a strong connection with the club over the years, going back to the 1940s. John was the leader of the gang at that stage and showed the way for the rest of them. We're delighted to have you here tonight. Thanks very much for coming. As you all know, we had originally planned to have a celebration in August for our centenary. Obviously with COVID kind of put paid to that, but we're still hopeful of having a celebration in the future at some stage where we can get everybody together in a room and talk about times gone by. But John and his family planned this trip around that occasion, and when they knew that we were going to go ahead, they still decided to come anyway. So we're grateful for them for coming, and it would be remiss of us when they're at home not to mark the occasion with John. And as I say, we're delighted that they're here today. John doesn't need any introduction, or neither do any of the Keeneys, but John kind of started coming down, was first man down to the field here, and that set a tone for the rest of the family, and they all played for the club for various years. Obviously, from no matter where they were, they came back, and as I say, they were huge servants of the club. And if we added up all the appearances of the Keeney brothers, I would say there could be a club record there somewhere, but we'll not get into that, or we could be offending somebody else. But tonight, this evening is about John, and just a chance for us to recognise him and the fantastic work that he done during the 40s, 50s and 60s before he left for America, as a lot of people had to do at that stage. I'm just going to read out a small tribute to John. That's what appeared in our club history, and it's a wee bit updated. I just updated it, a few other things. And just kind of sums up John's career with the club and why he is such an important part of our 100 years. The emigration of Club Secretary John Keeney to the USA in 1965 left a void in the GA in the parish at that time that was found very hard to fill. As has been the case since the foundation of the club, there has always been officers and other people involved in the running of the club, but in each era or decade there has always been one person or two who were the driving force behind the club in that particular time. In the 50s and 60s, John Keeney was the heart and soul of the club, and his foresight and integrity were to leave his mark on the club long after he had left for the USA to start a new life. A son of Sonny and Aggie Keeney of Gladone, the Keeney household was always steeped in the GAA, with John and his brothers Charlie, James, Peggy, Kieran and Michael all going on to play for the club. John enjoyed a distinguished playing career which started as a juvenile in 1947 and continued until the late 50s when an injury curtailed his involvement. Following the 1952 minor championship win, John moved on to the senior team and usually played at left half back during this time. He also played for the county junior and senior teams. It was, however, as a club officer that Keeney made an indelible mark on the GA in the parish. He first served as club treasurer in 1958 and 59, and went on to act as secretary of the club from 1960 to 62, assistant secretary in 1963 and 64, and was back as secretary again in 1965. The commencement of the club schoolboy leagues in 1959 were John's brainchild, and it was his work with these leagues and with the underage teams in the club that he left a huge mark on the GA in the area. The leagues were the first of their kind in the county and were the forerunners of the first county under 14 championship in 1962, following a motion from the Ard Club County Convention. The winning of the 1962 Schoolboy Championship was a direct result of this organisation of underage football in the parish, and it led to further successes through the 60s and 70s. John was also involved at divisional board level and regularly represented the club at county board meetings and conventions. A weaver by trade, John was selected to travel to New York to the World's Fair in 1957 to demonstrate the weaving trade at this huge event. He made another few trips there before he and his late wife Kathy settled in New York and raised their daughters Clinton and Mary and son John Jerry. They still make regular trips home each year, and John is still as passionate about the Ard club as he was all those years ago, eagerly waiting for the Democrat and Facebook each week to keep in touch with the club's progress. John received the Charlie Bennett Hall of Fame Award in 2003 for his outstanding service to the club. It was fitting that the award was named after his good friend Charlie, who sadly passed away in 2001. As we celebrate our centenary as a club this year, we have been very fortunate to have had so many great people involved through the decades who always planned ahead for the future of the GA in the parish. John Keeney will always be regarded as a man He was always looking ahead for the future of the Ard GAA club by his words and actions. It's our honour this evening to recognise him for playing such a huge part in the story of our club. I would swear by that you hand as often start over into the CLG Ard and Ratha, Gorowina Mike. I'd like to ask John now down to just make a presentation to him, and maybe Mary and Duffy would like to join him. There was only one thing we could present to John today, was it?
Might have to come back next year to get them.
Just Mary's going to say a few words now.
My dad and mom did immigrate to America and he's 56. You know, as I say, you take the man out of our job, you can't take out our job in his heart. Which is so true with my dad. A couple of years ago, he had physical therapy, and of course in Attleboro, Massachusetts. And none of these guys, physical therapists, are Irish. So they're fixing his hip, you know, because he had a sore in his hip. And the guys were trying to, you know, like, where's your dad from? And he said, I'm from Donegal, Ireland. And well, you know, when you're going to fix my hip, you're going to see me play football. So they looked at me and said football, because all they think of is American football, which is very different from Gaelic football. And I said, your dad was a football player? And so he explained it, Gaelic football. Don't you know Gaelic football? So I told him, you need to go online, because we were going 3 days a week for a couple of months. To go online, YouTube, Gaelic football. Josh Prey, who's a black guy from Texas, is a great guy to show you, because he's very funny. And they've watched it, and they said, this is an amazing game. Everybody should be playing this, because the referee is like Jesus. You can't touch the guy. And he said, your dad was a Gaelic football player. I said, yeah, he loved it, and it's his passion. And honestly, it's his passion ever since. You know, you talk about coming here, he was talking to Packy McGuire, I don't know if he's here today, came to the house yesterday, and my dad was straight on with the dates, the people that were there, the games. He could tell you everything about the game in 1952 when they won the championship. It's just amazing, and he's 86 years old. And football is still his passion, our drive still his passion, so I'm so happy that you did this for my dad, and this made him so happy. And thank you for that.
Do you want to say something?
Yeah.
Before fall now. Yeah, jump over there. Well, this is something new for me to do. Rather than kicking the ball out there. But anyway, I want to thank you all for coming in such great numbers to help the Ard Ratha and what you've done for them over the last couple of years, and the great work they've done in developing a new football fields, dressing rooms, and everything in the dressing and all that. I want to thank you all for the hard work you put into it, and it had touched me when I came home a couple of times over the last few years that I know I needed help in some way, and somebody I've made a contribution in some way towards the help in the club. Packy McGuire is here. Packy will remember this moment. We were coming over from the J school, and we turned to go down the road, and Dan Moore, God rest him, many of you remember Dan Moore from here. He was a member of everything down here, and the club as well. And Dan came over, he says, what are you fellas doing this weekend? And he said, do you play any football? he had when he was kicking the ball around the school over in J. Well, he says, come down on Sunday, we're having a game against Clinty's, the juvenile game, the first one of the season. We came down to see the match, the bulletin, the old dressing room was down there. Harky is here, and myself, he will remember those moments. We got on he put us on the team. And Tommy Boyle of the Greenhouse was the manager at that time. And said, but these two lads didn't have a chance to play. So I went in and they put me on the right full forward that day against them in the under 16 juvenile game. And I remember I scored 2 points in the first 20 minutes. So I think that was great. This is going to be a lot of fun, you know. So half time came and we were in the lead. And Tommy came up to me, he says, I want to put you as left full back now for the second half. I think you have good defense. I caught a ball coming in and scored one of the points, came in high, and I caught it and swung around and over the bar. He said, you have good hands, and I think you can defend a tough attack on our defense. And that's what he done. He brought me up into the corner, and that's in the old field, and he said, stay there in that area. And I made the best catch of the game during that. Jeff Fury was left full back. I mean, we won the match easily enough towards the, end. But those are the things that brought me into the game. Through the others, the old people, and they were helping us along. And the system has got ahead greatly over the last number of years. Just to look around what has been done here, and the great work of putting up stadiums like this, it costs a lot of money, but I give good credit to the club here and the membership and anyone that contributed to it for the great work that you do to make our home for football the best in the county. I couldn't help but make it help in some way, and I hope to continue in some way also. But I know that you have great membership here, you get people who are doing great work for the organisation, and I congratulate you all, and thank you all for coming today and supporting the club and making us go ahead and win championships. That's what I want to do. And, thank you all. Thank you for giving your time today and being here. And I want to thank my fellowship people who traveled with my wife, my late wife, Kathleen, passed away a few months ago, not that long ago. But my daughters are here to see what is going on, and they wanted to help out in some way. And they were able to travel with me, the son-in-laws as well. And the man of the game could give my brother from England as well. So all of them you are really paying a great tribute to our club and what we're doing to keep it going. And I hope to be doing it, able to contribute, I guess, in the future. And the great stadium here now, and well done by everybody, and the great work that you put into it, that you can be very proud of. So I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. As John mentioned, we remember Kathleen today as well. Anyone who knew Kathleen, she was a great lady, and we remember her family have great memories of Kathleen as young children growing up in New York, and we'll never forget her. She was a beautiful lady and said it out, and we'll never forget our homes as children, and we remember her today too. So we just have one more thing to do there. I would say this evening's about John, but we've got another man here tonight who we don't get to see too often. And as I say, we still hope to get together in a big crowd and honour families like the Keenies and others when things get better. But we've another man here tonight we don't see too much. We've heard a lot about him and over the years, and he's here tonight, and we're glad to welcome Michael here tonight We don't see Michael too often, but Michael, you're very welcome. You can be here to stories about you. I often hear stories about Michael, and the one thing you always heard, and the Keenies will say this themselves, and this is a kind of it means a lot when the Keenies say themselves, like, and my father always said it as growing up and here now, Michael Keeney was some player. Michael Keeney was some player. And the Keenies themselves will say Michael was the best player of the Keenies, and that's saying something which one of the Keenies. But I think a brilliant midfielder in his day. He was a Quaddy Minor in 1959 and moved to England shortly afterwards, but came over and back to the club, played through the 60s. Important games the club just took him home because he was that good a player. And I think he played with John Mitchell in Birmingham over the years, and a great friend of his, Hugh O'Donnell, who was the late Hugh O'Donnell, obviously a great former servant of the club as well. So when Michael's here today, we're just going to make a small presentation. It was not much, but just to acknowledge the fact that he's here and the contribution he made, and to say that he would have been the greatest ever, maybe, and would have been a Donegal County player for years if immigration hadn't taken away. So, Michael, I'm just going to present you with a small club hoodie here, if you want to come over, and just a small token. I'm just sorry I had to leave home and I wasn't a part of all this. So Michael, thanks very much. And I say we'll see you in the Keeney clan again, hopefully on time post-COVID. So that's really all we have to say tonight. Thank you very much for coming. Thanks to John and family for being here, and all the Keenies, and everyone else that turned up for the night. John mentioned the 1947 juvenile team. There's a photograph of them in the club history, and another member of that juvenile team was Billy Maxwell, great friend of John's as well. And Billy's son Jim and his daughter Ella have travelled up here tonight from Clare to pay tribute to John. So thanks very much, Billy and Ella, for doing that. So thanks very much, everybody. That's it. There's a cup of tea afterwards, okay? The ladies have been busy all evening, so get a cup of tea, and we invite the Keeney family over the town afterwards. So thank you very much, everybody. Safe trip, and hopefully we'll see you soon when there's no masks or restrictions. Okay, thanks very much, everybody. Thank you.